Hello YouTube, it's your boy J-Man back at you here. Today's video is going to be basically the opposite to the last video I just posted. I'm going to be making a video on the top 10 reasons why people join Americorps this time. And there are a lot of different reasons, so I'm just going to break it down bit by bit, starting with, again, the most popular reason to the least popular reason from 1 to 10, all right? So we're going to start this list off pretty simple. And I think that this is, at least in my opinion, the most powerful reason why most people join the program. And that is basically to serve. There's a strong sense of service in an individual. They grew up in an environment where, the environment was important, like taking care of plant life, animal life, children, education, elderly or veteran, or just low-income communities, food deserts. The number one most powerful reason why people join Americorps is to give back to the community, to strengthen relationship ties, and to make a difference, I think that because it's cliche, like, I want to make the world a better place, because, a lot of people have that dream coming out of college, and most people, if you ask them what's one thing they could do, it would be to better the environment. And because of that, over time, it just seems kind of cliche. But I think that the bulk of people who join the program, because you're not getting paid a whole lot. It's not even a job. You're working long hours just for, not for a whole lot. So I think anyone who's willing to sign away a year or at least 10 months of their life to service, the vast majority of people that I've met in the program genuinely, to some degree, even if they don't want to admit it in front of others, have a good heart and want to help others and better the community. I think that's the strongest, most powerful reason why people join Americorps. Moving into the second one, let's be honest here, it's part of the reason why I joined, because these categories are not black and white. They can be a mixture of different reasons. They can be small of the reasons combined. It depends on the person. Some reasons can start off one thing and change. It's a very, very flexible list. But the second biggest reason is the stipend. Yes, when you serve in an Americorps program, you receive a pretty sizable stipend. Again, you'd make more money working a normal job, but remember, in Americorps, they're paying for medical, housing, gas, driving, food, so you're really not spending anything, but you're also not earning a whole lot. But on the completion of the program, you get an education award, and you are paid a stipend that can definitely improve your standing if you're trying to pay off college debt, or if you're really trying to use your money for technical training, education training, or job training down the line. Plus, if you do 2 years of Americorps, you can get double the amount. But remember, you're paid no more after that. After that, it truly becomes service. And also, remember, with Americorps, and while you're in service, your student loans get put on hold, and they can basically apply for forbearance. So that's definitely a huge plus for a lot of those students out there, which is why I heavily recommend Americorps for people who are going into college and or they are coming out of college. In addition to that, there are a lot of universities that will actually match Americorps stipends. That's another secret a lot of people don't know, where if you find the right schools on the Americorps website, by the way, you can actually find colleges that match the stipend. Example being, if I have a stipend for $5,000, another one for $5,000, from the Education Siegel Award, and this is just an example, that's $10,000. If I find a university that's Americorps alumni friendly, they will actually match that amount. So now I've got $20,000 to go to school, and or I have at least $10,000 that I can pay off a past debt with. So education-wise, you cannot go wrong with Americorps. It's basically you're saving money by making money at the end of your service here. There's no reason to not do 2 years, especially if you're young and you have not left for college yet, which is, again, why I highly recommend it for people who are going into college, not coming out. But if you are coming out, there are other reasons on this list later that will definitely help you. Number 3 is going to be just straight up honest. It's a big I think this is like the biggest reason for me personally. It's just life experience. Americorps is a great stepping stone for people who've never left home before. Let's say you didn't get the chance to go to college. Let's say that you lived a sheltered life. You were homeschooled. You didn't get the chance to really do much after high school. You went to a community college, and you haven't really had too many life experiences. Americorps will give you that independence. depending on which program you do. But either way, you're still going to get a strong amount of newfound independence. You're going to be thrusted onto a team from different people from all over the place, from different walks of life, from different communities, different ethnicities, different political, social, religious backgrounds and spectrums. You're going to be on a team of random people from all over the country in this melting pot kind of society. And it's going to give you so many new life experiences that you will not come out the same person you were when you came in. You will gain lifelong potential friends and just memories and experiences that you will never find in any other program. Even now that I'm part of the military, the camaraderie and the sense of like experience that I gain in that program is something unique to just Americorps. Like, because you're not, it's like because it's a volunteer service, you don't really see them like coworkers like that. Even in FEMA, where it's less like family than traditional, NCCC, you can check out on my last video, because of just like how much you're living together, working together, sleeping, eating, doing stuff, you don't, even the most coworker-ish people relationships are still to some degree going to be seen as a family member, even if you don't like them. Some more than others, some less than others, but at the end of the day, you're not just going to be like coworkers at a job. And I think that's the kind of experience that a lot of younger people need to have when they're finally leaving home and they don't have a lot of options. You need to understand there's more options for life outside of college and the military. Americorps is definitely that great hidden third door that barely anyone knows about. And our training, when we were learning about the program more on our first few weeks of training, basically they called Americorps America's greatest kept secret. And it's so true, because I wish more people knew about it. Now, number 4 on this list is another extension of the experience. It's travel. Like I just told you, a lot of people don't get to leave home. A lot of people basically stay isolated, especially during those COVID years. So there's a whole generation now of kids who went to high school from 2019 to 2023, and they basically spent all of either their high school years behind a screen on virtual school and Zoom, and or they were middle schoolers that grew up with that being the norm. So basically, I think this is a great time for younger people to get involved with this program, because now with Americorps, and it's not a new thing, but because COVID is done now, you can travel essentially anywhere in the country depending on your job. You can go to California, Michigan, Montana, Idaho, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Rhode Island. Like, I'm just listing off places I went to. And as a Floridian from Miami, I had never seen any of these places before. Like, I got to meet Amish people. I got to see Washington, D.C. I got to see multiple historical landmarks, historical homes, forest, national parks. Like, I got to see things that I would never normally see in my everyday life that to this day I carry with me as a treasured memory. In the video, you're going to see a few images of it, and I really want to get into the nitty-gritty of how beautiful some of these places were. I saw places where they had never even been exposed to different racial ethnicities, let alone like just different cultures like that. And it really gave me the chance to open up to others about my way of life and just, different ways of life around the country. Because to a degree, when you're moving state to state like that, you really truly come to understand that while we're one country, America, like every state essentially is like its own small country. It's so fascinating when you get to see all these places, and who does not like free travel? Like, seriously, I think that is the most, I think Americorps, the main thing their main selling point to people are education and travel. And I'm not going to lie, travel is the biggest aspect to me personally on this list. Even though it's not number 1, the main reason why people join, I think it's one of the main reasons why people stay, even though that could be a totally separate video. And I'm going to move on to the next one. Number 5 is going to be camaraderie. I think that having a sense of belonging and having a sense of family kind of ties up everything on this list, ties together, because again, it's not a very static list. It shifts and some blend. So I think camaraderie, a sense of family, a sense of unity is something that a lot of people yearn for and want. And a lot of people do find that in the military. Some people find that in their youth groups or organizations or churches or volunteer groups. But I think Americorps is one of those, like I mentioned earlier, few experiences outside of the military where it's not just a one weekend treat or a travel or a mission. It's like a genuine experience of having this mobile family for almost a year, or a year if you do choose to do FEMA. So, in my opinion, I think that camaraderie, especially if you're with the right team, can go a long way. It can be extremely sad when you are parting ways and separating, but in terms of joining, I feel that a lot of people, they come from bad areas, or maybe they don't have a lot of friends. They didn't grow up with a lot of friends. So when they join Americorps, yes, they're looking for all those other factors, education, experience, and travel. But at the same time, they're looking for a group, a family that they can call their own and they can truly cherish as individuals and take with them for the rest of their life. I have friends to this day that I've known for 3 to 4 years that are from Americorps that I call when I'm down, or I'm having a bad day, or if I need help or advice, I can still call them. One of my friends from Americorps and I actually joined the military together, and we were training together. Maybe not specifically at the same time, but we were both in the same training hall at the same time. I went in about a month earlier than him, but you could see how our training times would definitely correlate. And we basically joined the military together as Air Force brothers. So I think some friendships can last a lifetime in Americorps. And I think that this number on the list has a very special place in my heart because I did not have a whole lot of friends before I joined Americorps. And even now after, I don't have a whole lot of friends. And even though my friends are in different states, I know I can call them. Or if I'm visiting, I have a solid place to crash with and have good memories for a little while. And that is honestly on this list. While a life experience and travel and service are important for me, in terms of just socializing, I think that camaraderie is like a really great aspect. It's not the first one I would look at for myself, but it's definitely great if you can have it. It's a great plus to everything else if everything else on this list is kicking, and that's why you're joining. Now, next on my list is going to be more serious. It's going to be less soft skills, more hard skills. I'm going to say networking, because I think depending on the kind of field you're going into, and this touches more into the FEMA aspect of it, I think that if you're looking to work with the government, you're looking for government agencies, whether it's federal law enforcement or federal agencies, whether that's working with the FDA, the DEA, the NSA, the military, FEMA, public health administration. I think there are a lot of different factors and areas where you can definitely put yourself or align yourself with the right people, the right kinds of people, and they'll align you to exactly where you need to go. They'll give you advice, details, how to buff up your resume, or you can even get certain references that will boost your resume. And I'm not talking friends or family references. I'm talking high level corporate or business people, lawyers, military, police, federal agent workers, officials, politicians. There are a lot of really powerful opportunities for you to meet the right people. I think that it's honestly one of the best places where you can meet so many different career paths and figure out what you want to do in your career life, and where you want to go with the rest of your life. And I think that we even have a specific job because they assign different roles to people in AmeriCorps. And for this one, it's called LAA. That's the role. It means the Life After AmeriCorps rep, where a person on the team is chosen, and their main job is to help guide everyone to how to apply for jobs after AmeriCorps and how to align yourself with a career and to find what you're capable of and to find what your areas of expertise lie and the kind of field you're kind of going directly towards, So I think that definitely networking is a powerful, powerful reason why people join. And again, you can still network in traditional, but it's not more so for government jobs. That's more so for if you want to specifically do nonprofit or firefighting. Outside of that, like I've mentioned before, there's not a whole lot of networking opportunities in traditional and CCC, at least not as much as the others, unless you do want to pursue a career in AmeriCorps, which I've seen some people do. But for the majority of the networking, that's definitely hands down FEMA, no questions asked. Again, with FEMA Corps, this is why I would suggest people who are done with college to do FEMA instead of traditional, because if you're looking for a job and work experience, FEMA Corps is essentially like an internship for a year. great experience, and it'll definitely set you up for success in that career path of emergency management. So this is great that I brought this up because this easily ties into the next category, which is FEMA opportunities. Again, this is a specific FEMA topic. FEMA actually does a lot of hiring through Americorps, especially after the year of service they do in FEMA. They are strongly looking for like high-speed applicants who do their time in Americorps, and the hiring process for FEMA can usually last between 4 to 6 months for a normal person. But for alumni, for FEMA Corps, it's maybe a month to 2 months max. It's like it skips a lot of the red tape. And not to mention, not only does it skip the red tape, they will start you for work immediately after your service year is done, if you choose to do it. And I know some people might disagree, but I'm going to die on this hill. It is impossible unless you mess up, you have a bad reputation, or even if you have a bad reputation, in Americorps because someone didn't like you or was trying to smear your name, it is still easily possible to get hired by FEMA. As long as you show up, you're willing to work hard, and you're willing to do what needs to be done, and you are high speed, and you listen, and you're able to pull your bootstraps up and put in the work, then FEMA will hire you if you do Americorps, FEMA Corps. It's so hard to not get hired, to the point where I heavily stress, if anyone is actually serious about working with FEMA, please do a year of FEMA Corps first. Some people just jump into FEMA and it throws them off guard because they were not expecting that. But because they don't know how to handle the job, they're miserable the whole time of deployment. And they're miserable because they're in an environment that's hit by a disaster. And then on top of that, they basically have to learn the job as they're going along, as opposed to FEMA Corps, where you get a whole year essentially of just chilling. No one's jumping on your back like it's a serious job. It is serious, but not as serious as it would be if they were paying you. In FEMA Corps, there are people who are easily helping you. They're taking their time with you. They're showing you what to do. They're trying to make it simple for you to understand. I met a lot of FEMA Corps alumni. A lot of the people working in FEMA are FEMA Corps alumni, by the way. Some of them are veterans, but there's a good portion of FEMA Corps alumni that work there. It's just better, and it makes more sense for people who want to work with FEMA to do FEMA Corps beforehand. So if you're looking for that serious government level experience work, and at the very least to build up your resume to work for a different agency, I heavily recommend joining Americorps specifically for the FEMA/government opportunities that it offers and experience it gives you for your resume. And next one here is going to be personal growth. I think this one is a little lower on the list because I'd say this one, it can apply to both. It's not specifically traditional or FEMA. It depends on how you look at it, because again, traditional is more growth for soft skills. FEMA is more growth for hard skills, like public speaking, as opposed to confidence. But you need one for the other, So I would say that another huge reason people join is because they want to push themselves out of their comfort zone. Not just location-wise, not just, to get education, not just to travel or even have a kind of camaraderie thing. But I think a good portion of people genuinely just want to push themselves and to see if they can make it through this year. And if they can do anything in life. Because I've seen some people come in scared or nervous or shy or worried, and they basically come out of their shell in FEMA or Americorps in general, and they're able to become leaders, confident, and at the very least, I'm not saying it's going to be magical overnight, I'm a leader now, even though you were scared before, but I'm saying that doing the program will definitely set you up for success and give you experiences that you would never have normally had to develop in areas that you would not have normally developed in if you had not been in the program. So that's why I always try to make an effort for people who do join Americorps, try to find people on your team that are in the right way, they got their heads screwed on right, and they're trying to change, and push yourself in that program because it's temporary. Even if you mess up, who cares? You're never going to see them again after a year unless you really, really want to. So it's a great testing ground to practice those social skills, emotional skills, mental skills, and really get used to interacting, challenging people, defending your opinion, advocating for yourself, resume building, public speaking, conflict resolution. the possibilities of personal growth are endless in the program. And you, at some point, even if you're the most back row hidden person, at some point in that program, someone will push or force you to have to set a boundary. And in another video I posted on this, I was very nice to people. And even someone as nice as me met up with people who were truly just mean and selfish. And you are forced to set a boundary. Or if you're used to setting boundaries, you're going to learn really quick that if you make everyone hate you, no one survives as an island. So you're going to have to learn to set better, more respectable boundaries and not just be a jerk to everybody. I don't care what end of the spectrum you land on. All I'm saying is that there will be development and growth personally. Next one on the list is going to be to get away from home. It's going to be a quick one because I'm not trying to throw out negative business out there. But like I mentioned earlier, some people come from really rough environments back home. Some people don't have the best families. Some people are just trying to get away from a dangerous situation. You know, I've had this. It's not as common as all the other reasons, but there are a good portion of people who don't feel as inclined to want to join the military because that's a whole 4-year commitment. And Peace Corps itself is 2 years. So if someone's looking for like just 10 months, maybe a little bit more, just to get out of their neighborhood, to see more of the world out there, they'll definitely use Americorps to get out. And honestly, I don't care what the reason is why people want to join. I just care if they stay and they serve. Even if it's coming out of a place of like, survival, if they're genuine and they're like, well, I'm out, let me repay this debt to the program by staying and giving it my all, and they want to really push themselves, I respect it. What I don't respect, like I was saying in my reasons why people leave Americorps video, is people who come in, freeload, and they dip the first time they get like a better life, or they didn't have any intention to help. They're just there to just as a placeholder. But, on the other end of the spectrum, like in this video, there are people who are actually grateful that they have a placeholder. They love that they have a bed, food, shelter, and gas, and an opportunity to see and make a bigger impact on their legacy and the whole country. So I think that this is one of the underrated reasons that doesn't get talked about as much. And I really wanted to touch on this because a lot of people are in that position where they don't just want to get away from home in a bad environment, but they want to go a step further and to add a legacy of positivity and make a difference on this earth, And the last reason I got here listed is going to be boredom. I think boredom really goes a long way with it. I think that unlike the first one where they are actively trying to flee a situation, there are people who will be, walking across. And I think this applies a lot more to people who join traditional. Like they'll just hear someone talk about it, or, they just opened out like the summer of service program where you just do 2 months in service instead of 10 because a lot of Americorps people are not joining as much anymore as they were before. So I think that a lot of people are just curious, fascinated, and they're bored. So they say, hey, I'm not doing anything right now. Why the hell not? And they join Americorps, and it really opens up their mind, and they're able to see things and learn things about the community and environment that they would not have known otherwise. I think boredom, again, I'm okay with any reason as long as you go in and serve and do your time. I think boredom is also another underrated reason. So it definitely adds to it because there's a good amount of people who do and are just genuinely bored with life, so they join. And, that's just as good a reason as anyone. It's not the most heroic reason or the most like morally awesome reason, but a reason nonetheless is still a reason. If they're putting in results, that's all that matters. And I'm proud of people for it because I've met people who came in super bored, and because of that, they came in with an open mind. They're willing to learn, and they contributed way more than people who came in guns blazing, service ready, and they tired out super fast. So at the very least, coming in bored comes in with an open mind and willing to learn. And they don't burn out quickly because they didn't get their hopes up too high to begin with. So they're always the people who come out the most satisfied of the program. And I'm going to give you a little extra one here. This is kind of different, but this is going to be more so dating. This is honestly, I put this as like the last on the list, or like kind of like a little bonus, because like there are quite a bit of people, male and female, usually in my situation that I've seen male, who join Americorps solely to find their Amerilove. This is a term in the Americorps culture that is very, very, very popular. And I've talked about it and a few other ones where Amerilove is a serious thing. Like there are a good portion of couples that genuinely start in Americorps, whether they last short term, long term, regardless, something is still something. And a lot of people they've never gotten the chance to explore that side of themselves or meet new people outside of their small towns or their small areas or the cities, or they come from cities that are too big, and it's because it's so much people, it's hard to find anyone who's genuinely curious or interested in them. So in Americorps, it's a very unique kind of like dimension where people are forced to interact with each other that, in normal circumstances, they never would even know existed. Like my best friend from traditional, like she's from Chicago. She's this random white girl from Chicago, right? Like I would never, and again, this is not relationship, it's like a friendship, but like I would never normally meet her. So if they're a girl and you're dating a guy, right? Like let's say you got a boyfriend back in your home state of Iowa, right? You're in a relationship with him for 2 years, whatever. You're happy. You think you're happy. And then you join Americorps, you meet all these other guys, and it's like, whoa. And I know people are going to say you should stay loyal to whatever, but let's be honest. I think a lot of people are with people sometimes because, like, it's circumstantial. I'm not saying you can't have a meaningful relationship, but I will say one thing. If you give that person who's been in that same town her entire life the chance to explore and meet other people and other men and to form other kinds of connections and to just explore other people out there, something is going to change. Whether for the better of that relationship or the worst is entirely up to that couple involved, but there will be some change in something. I've rarely seen a situation where a relationship back home was not affected or changed as a result of that partner joining Americorps. And as for the ones that go in looking for something specifically and are searching for that Amerilove, it has happened. It can happen. Or, if you're looking for an Americorps love for right now, like either way you swing the pendulum, there are people that come in looking for this. And I don't care what they do. If they serve and do their time and they help benefit the environment, if they get a partner on the way, cool for them. It just works out the better for everybody, right? The leader of actually one of our units, his wife, he met in Americorps. One of the people I was talking to when I was in Americorps, she recently got married, and that's their Amerilove. There's like another couple, like I mentioned, that in another video, they left the program together because they liked each other a lot. They're still together. I think they're gonna get married. I've met quite a bit of couples that were formed in Americorps and that are still together to this day. So in those situations, some of them were talking before they met up in Americorps, because you can there's like a group chat to join beforehand. Some of them met in Americorps. Some people came in with the intention of wooing someone. Some did not. There's a wide spectrum. But regardless of where you land on that spectrum, Amerilove is a very strong reason for some people joining an Americorps, especially for people who are younger, between 18 to 21, as opposed to 23 and up that are looking for career-oriented reasons joining the program. Also, Amerilove is mostly still more of a traditional thing because you're out there with so much different people for so long, as opposed to the smaller, condensed, work-oriented focus of FEMA Corps. But Amerilove still happens in FEMA Corps. It just does not happen as much as in traditional Corps. So I will say that because of the difference of the programs, there's just less room for relationships in FEMA as there in traditional. And the bonds you establish in traditional will more than likely most always be stronger than any bonds formed in FEMA Corps. So that's another factor as well. This concludes my list. Everyone, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I hope that you're able to actually get a little bit more information out of this video. Please go back to my last video, which talks about the reasons why people don't want to join Americorps or why they leave, because it's basically the opposite to this one. This one's a little bit longer because I'm so positive about it, and I really wanted to advocate on a lot of the benefits of the program. So like, share, and subscribe. Thanks, everybody. Jody out.